We sometimes think of men that use women as men that will deliberately play with a woman's heart, and they exist, but a lot of them are like a jumbo jet. You can often hear them coming. However, there are other types of men that use women as a side effect, so to speak. And those are sometimes men that, if you meet them, may look like good guys. If you have a date with one of them, that guy will be respectful. You'll both have a great conversation. If that man meets your parents, they may say he's a keeper. Even your cat that doesn't like anyone will probably love him. He will look good on paper, but he will hurt the heart of many women that cross his path. Why, you might ask? Well, we'll talk about multiple reasons and even types of good men that use women in this video, like the man that's broken. And a great example of a broken man is the guy that is truly attracted to a woman, but the more she starts to desire him, which is what he thought he wanted, the closer she gets, the more he gets the feeling like as if he's surrounded by hungry velociraptors. And this was just one example of a broken man, but in general, there's something wrong with a broken man. There's something he should work on. However, usually you cannot see that on the surface. And some of these men may even try to hide it during the first couple of months of dating. Me? I love commitment. I'm looking for commitment. I'm so ready for a relationship. P.S. Just not with anyone that is actually interested in me, because then for some reason I lose interest really fast and then I run away. Or they don't even realize they have issues, but they will give away clues that I'll talk about in this video. Now, some women that date these men might then think, well, deep down he's a good guy. I can feel that. So if I can just fix him, or if I can just make him see that ... or if I just love him enough, well, then this will eventually be a great relationship. Yeah, well, they cannot fix him. He's not a project. He will need to work on himself. And there are women like this as well, of course. Women that mean well, but that will still break the heart of many men they will meet. But since I make videos for women on this channel about men, let's talk about some good men that use women, and then also some more general signs that a man is using a woman. My name is Geert. I'm an author. I also use the pen name Brian Knox. And first, I want to talk about a very special type of user, and that's the man that is not ready for a relationship. So this man is not ready for a relationship, but he still does the things that should lead to a relationship, making the women he's dating believe he's relationship material. Isn't that great? Now, if he's open about it, and he's honest, and while he's dating you, he communicates the dreaded phrase, by the way, I'm not ready for a relationship, which is kind of like a member of the Olympic swimming team saying he doesn't want to get wet. Okay, but probably shouldn't be around swimming pools then. But anyway, if he's open about it, then he might not be a real user then, but be careful. Most men that say they are not ready for a relationship will break your heart if you continue seeing them. So if a man ever says that he doesn't want a relationship and you do, please find another guy. If he's not looking for a relationship, he shouldn't be spending time doing romantic things with a woman who is. Then, let's go back to the emotionally broken good man. The problem with this type of man is that he often means well. He's not trying to hurt the women he's dating or has a relationship with. He just does. It just happens. It's a side effect because he has issues he should really be working on, and hopefully he is already doing that. And a good example is the man that is still traumatized by something that happened in his past. And I'm not talking about the nights he thought there was a monster in his closet as a kid, but about real things that scarred him. And because of those scars, he may now have mood swings bigger than the Eiffel Tower. His emotions may go from up to down to back up like a bungee jumper. He can go from being really affectionate one day to totally ignoring you the next. From showing a lot of interest to then suddenly disappearing for days. From being really kind to suddenly starting a fight for seemingly no reason. And the women on the other end are often left thinking, what just happened? And by the way, he may even think the same thing. Some of these men don't even realize why they are getting all of these emotions suddenly. So although he's not deliberately using women, the women he dates will often feel used. Now let's be honest. A lot of people have issues, a lot of people have good and bad days, nobody is or feels perfect all the time, but here, his behavior will not make any sense. And that's actually a first really important clue of any man that uses a woman. Whether he has bad or sometimes even good intentions, his behavior doesn't make any sense. A user confuses the women he's with most of the time. A really good guy without big issues will, for example, be consistent when you are dating him. He may be mysterious from time to time, but there won't be any confusion, and that's a really big difference. With a good guy, you might wonder whether he likes you or not because he hasn't told you yet, or because you haven't kissed yet, which is normal. Confusion is when he sleeps with you one day and then totally avoids you the next. when he tells you he really likes you and that you are really special, but then he's also flirting with other women at the same time that he believes are really special as well. That's what a user does. A user will confuse you. That's an important sign. Here's another great sign that a man may be using a woman. He's reassuring her a lot, but she feels unreassured. And in this case, it's not because she has trust issues. It's because his behaviors are showing one red flag after another. And when she mentions them to him, he always has the perfect explanation. And at first sight, his excuses may even seem to make a lot of sense, but the sign here is that it just keeps happening. Red flag, reassuring explanation. What? Your friend saw me flirting with another woman? Don't worry about that. I flirt with everyone, and I don't like anyone as much as I like you. You're my favorite. 2 weeks later, what? Another friend saw me with that same woman while holding hands this time? Yeah, I know. I mean, it's because that woman really likes me, and I asked her out to get some drinks so I could explain to her that I'm not really into her, and as I was explaining it, she became so emotional that I had to hold her hand the entire time. Yep, makes a lot of sense, and I exaggerate a little bit, but I hope you get the point. And by the way, another great sign that you are probably dealing with a man that is using you is when your own mental health starts to decline because of your interactions with him, because of the relationship you have with him. Now, the man in my previous example was obviously a bad man, but there's another interesting type of a potentially good man where a woman may still feel very used. And that's the man with a very strong avoidant attachment style. Now, if he has that avoidant attachment style because someone important let him down in the past, usually when he was still very young, he may not allow anyone to get close. The closer you get to a guy like this, the more he may freak out. Now, this type of man, and that's really interesting, this type of man will often go for impossible love. So that means that he may go for unavailable women or for women that don't treat him well, because that often feels familiar to him. And when a woman does treat him well, it just won't feel right. He may not even trust it because it's so unfamiliar. Now, the difficult thing here is that he's not pulling away because he's not interested in the woman he's dating. It's because of his avoidant attachment style. And as soon as his avoidant emotions subside, he will probably reach out again. But then the cycle just continues. So this is a typical example of a man that should really get help to work on this issue. Now, what if you fall for a guy like this, or for a broken man in general? Well, if you only like the man that he could potentially become, then that's not a good thing. But if the man he currently is already making you really happy, then you could be fine. The thing to remember is that you are never there to fix him. Now, a dangerous good man that will use women is the emotionally childish man. So that's a man that's very playful, very flirty, he brings a fun energy, and you might feel good around him because of all of these things. But as soon as things get serious, the cracks will start to appear. For example, just like a child, when something bad happens, it will never be his fault. He will blame other people. And not just that, but he's also always the victim. Things happen to him all the time. He never has any ownership. He may expect other people to help him, but when they need help, then he may find an excuse not to do it, especially when they need some emotional support. He may not have the capacity of giving it. And when you show emotions to him, especially negative emotions, he may stonewall you and may tell you that you are exaggerating. Now, the childish man may seem very interested in you, may give you a lot of compliments, may even show a lot of affection, but you will notice that it always stays on the surface. He's incapable of having deep conversations about feelings and emotions and sometimes even other topics. Things will not get serious with him. And sometimes he may even seem very confident, but that is until you give him some constructive feedback. Then he may get as defensive as a goose that just laid an egg. Now, as we went over some of these guys, you may have noticed that some of them are not even looking for a girlfriend. They're looking for a mother. They're looking for a nurse. They're looking for someone that can heal their wounds. Now, in my personal opinion, when a man is aware of his issues and he's working on them, then that can actually be a good sign. But if he is still in denial, then you're on thin ice with him, and it will probably melt really fast because it gets hot there in Egypt. You know where denial is. And there you go. I hope you found a lot of value in this video. I want to thank you for sticking around until the very end of this video. I love it when you do that. If you want more, you can find it on brianknox.com or in my books. They are on Amazon. Just type my pen name, Brian Knox, in the search box over there. And I hope to see you in another video.